is a messy thing as we get low and get dirty. But God, we just pray, Lord, that every family in this community, for what we look like and who we are, that all of us would be served by those who serve us here. And Father, we just ask you, Lord, that as teachers and staff and administration, and especially these children are preparing for a new journey and a new year, that you'd calm nerves, and God, that you'd help them to see that we have their best interest. And God, I just pray, Lord, that your will would be done. We know it always is. And we pray, Lord, that you would help us to see it as it is, your will. We pray this in your name. Amen. All right, the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor McSwain. At this time, I'm calling the board meeting to order for August 4th, 2022. Welcome, citizens of Clay County. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend tonight's school board meeting. This meeting is our opportunity as your elected representatives to collaborate openly and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and the education of our children here in Clay County. If you wish to address the board on an agenda item, there will be an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Please fill out a card, there are yellow cards in the back, and hand it to one of our officers, please. Sorry, lost my place. So, please also indicate the specific number you wish to speak about and turn it in before we get to the public comments, and I'll give you another warning at that time. No additional cards will be accepted once the board moves to the public comment section under presentations from the audience. And I just wanted to also quickly add, if you have any items that you would like to present to the school board or the superintendent, please hand them to the officers who will then distribute them accordingly. Greatly appreciate your attendance here, and it's great to see so many smiling faces after a relatively quiet summer. So welcome. Mr. Broski, I'll let you take it over.
Okay, our first item tonight is the UCF Certified Community Partnership School. Tonight, we're here to celebrate Wilkinson Junior High. Is there any Wilkinson Junior High people in the house? We're going to recognize their accomplishment of receiving certification with the University of Central Florida. Wilkinson Junior High is officially a UCF Certified Community Partnership School. We'd also like to thank, and we knew it wouldn't be possible without our partners. This accomplishment was reached through the combined efforts of 4 core partners. Children's Home Society of Florida. Any reps here from Children's Home? There they are in the back, and I'm sure when I call them up, they'll all come forward. In fact, you can kind of make your way up to the podium now. St. John's River State College. Okay, come on down. Baptist Health, Wolfson Children's Hospital. And, of course, Clay County School District. Those are the 4 core partners. We're so appreciative of the efforts of everyone involved. We are proud of this partnership that allowed Wilkinson Junior High to serve our community on 218 through tutoring, academic enrichment, assistance with food insecurities, access to medical care, and the closed closet. So thank you so much, all of you. Now, I'd like to give a special shout out to Sean Smith. Where's Sean? Okay. Fantastic job guiding the district through this process. I see Becky Couch, I see Ernest, I see a bunch of people, but I'm not going to try and name everybody. Instead, I'm going to introduce Dr. Justina Jackson to take the podium over there.
That is me. Thank you.
And go ahead. It's all yours.
Thank you. So on behalf of the UCF Center for Community Schools, we thank you and we recognize you. So we want to present a UCF Certified Community Partnership School banner, as you see here. And we're going to ask everyone to kind of make your way to the front so we can take a real cute picture with the banner and the certificate. And of course, congratulations and a job well done.
Continue on, Mr. Bresky. You've got the floor.
Switch podiums. You know, every once in a while, something really special happens that doesn't happen too often, and the last time that this happened was 1996, that we had a State of Florida Teacher of the Year winner. So it's a big deal. Let me tell you a little bit about Melissa Matz. Miss Matz teaches pre-A 7th grade at Lakeside Junior High School, was selected as the Kristen McAuliffe Ambassador for Education. She started her teaching career in Clay County District Schools in 2003 and is a leader among all of the teachers on her campus and throughout the district, and now representing the whole state. Pretty big deal. You're pretty big stuff there. Miss Matz sees the value in relationship building and works hard to establish positive relationships with all of her students and the families that she serves. She leads her professional development communities, as well as being the math department head, constantly encourages her fellow teachers, and is just a real gem. You know, the final thing I would say is that I always make this statement. You know, Melissa Matz is the type of teacher that I would have wanted. If you've seen my math skills, you know that I could have used her. And also, you know, just as a parent of 2 students, I would have said, that's the math teacher I want for my students. So without a doubt, let's have a big round of applause. In fact, this is meritorious of a standing ovation.
Absolutely.
2023 Florida Teacher of the Year, Melissa Matz.
I just have a few words to say.
Is this going to be a pre-algebra lesson?
I wish.
Oh.
I wish, no. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be selected as the 2023 Florida Teacher of the Year. 18 years ago, I attended the Great Florida Teach-In in Orlando, and I graduated from Iowa, so 18 years ago I traveled all the way from Iowa to Orlando to the Great Florida Teach-In to interview at all different districts. And there I met the Clay County School District Human Resources team that was led by Neil Sanders. And he offered me a job to teach math at Thunderbolt Elementary, and I was so happy and so excited because it was my first job. From there, I taught at Argyle Elementary School, and now my home is Lakeside Junior High. I have been extremely lucky to work in this district. It is so supportive and truly believes that education is the key to our children's lives. Clay County School District has given me opportunities to build my craft alongside amazing teachers, encouraging admin, and outstanding district leaders. But I am most thankful for my students throughout the years. They have inspired me to be the teacher I am today. And if you know me, you know that all the decisions that I make is to better the lives of my students. This year, as the 2023 Florida Teacher of the Year, I am able to represent the incredible colleagues who have dedicated their lives to the success of their students and the next generation. I look forward to elevating and celebrating the teaching profession and having the opportunity to share my story as a Clay County teacher and promoting the contributions of all the Florida teachers. Teaching is more than just a career or a profession. It is a hope and belief of a better tomorrow. I want to say thank you to the school board and superintendent for this honor and for the opportunity to speak. I'm looking forward to this incredible journey to travel across Florida, and I'll be back to tell you all my amazing stories. So thank you.
Yay, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Matz, for all that you do and for all that you're going to be doing for the teaching profession. Because we need more and more teachers every day, and we need more and more teachers like you. You are special. Thank you. Our next person that we're going to introduce is no stranger to us, Mr. Now let me make sure, I haven't practiced it all summer. So, Mr. Scromolo. One of those.
Good evening. We got our two. There they go. Perfect. Well, good evening, Superintendent Broski and School Board. It's so nice to be with you again. Hope springs eternal. You know, it's the start of a new school year. I've been at coaches' meetings, and it's so exciting. You know, in education, it's the one profession that you get to turn a new leaf and start over and start fresh. So you're either batting 1,000 or batting 0 with the opportunity to have a perfect season. You've made every free throw, or you're gonna make every free throw, however you want to look at it. Before we recognize the Clay County Coaches of the Year, I want to just give you a brief overview of where we are in athletics with our district. The participation numbers were fantastic at the high school. Just over 4,000 students participated in interscholastic athletics in Clay County, and the junior high level just over 1,500. So that's a pretty large amount, just under 6,000 student athletes. And I want to bring that to your attention because the educational athletics experience provides such academic lift to our district. There's a big reason why Clay County is ranked, top 10 of the state, and it's due to the hard work of our teachers and our coaches and our athletic directors and our administrators. Last year, as a varsity athletic programs, 161 teams had a combined unweighted grade point average of 3.38. So the proof's in the pudding that being a student athlete holds you accountable in the classroom, and I'm really proud of everything that has happened in our district with athletics. Last year, we had 56 student athletes sign college scholarships to go play athletics at the next level. And that's impressive because due to COVID-19, there's been an extreme backlog in college sports. College student athletes were granted an extra year of eligibility, which really took a bad toll on our high school students. So really proud of our 56 college signees. This summer, we had camps all over Clay County. We had 28 sports camps across 7 high school campuses, and this was a great service to our community, especially for the young students, the elementary school kids. They look up to our high school student athletes, and it really gives them the opportunity to lead, so that was fantastic. And lastly, we are leading the state in safety and athletics here in Clay County. We did CPR training all summer long. And as they say, our fans and community are in good hands with our coaches. We trained 89 coaches in CPR, AED, and first aid, and we're still right at that 98 to 100% threshold of everyone being certified. So that's great for safety. Now to the reason why we're here tonight, the Clay County Coaches of the Year. A lot of times, we know how important teachers are to the educational process. At the high school level, you might be in a teacher's class for 50 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Sometimes if you're a student athlete with your coach, you're with them 3 to 5 hours a day. So when you do the amount of time that our coaches are with our students, their impact is just absolutely tremendous. The selection process for the Clay County Coaches of the Year, the athletic director at each school got with their administration team and nominated the person that they felt was the best representative of their school for Coach of the Year. And then it went to a committee of district officials, high school principals, high school ADs, junior high ADs, a committee of about 8 people. And I believe the committee really got it right this year with these 2 individuals. So they were honored at the Clay County Athletics Award Show at the Thrasher Horn. They received this beautiful trophy, and they'll also be getting that awesome ring from Herff Jones, designating them as the Clay County Coach of the Year. They don't know this yet, but they're also going on a tour just like Mrs. Matz. They're going to be speaking to our athletic directors, speaking to our athletic leadership training program, and really hoping to mine all the best practices that they have. Our first winner is a well-known coach to most of us in Clay County. She led her team to an 18-11 record and made a Sweet 16 appearance. She was selected as a coach for the FACA All-Star Game this year, and she also won her 600th career volleyball game. She was inducted into the USAV Florida Coaching Hall of Fame, and unfortunately, this is going to be her last year in Clay County District Schools. So we're really excited to see her last year. But to introduce her, I think that no one could tell you her impact more than one of her athletes. And I'm going to bring to the podium one of her senior volleyball players, Summer Rapogel.
Hello. Like he said, I'm going to be a senior this year, and I'm on Coach Bird's varsity volleyball team. So I actually didn't grow up in Middleburg. We moved here from overseas, and the first time I heard about Coach Pruitt, everyone was telling me that she was going to push us to limits we never knew. So that was, very nerve-wracking. Um, so when I finally met her, I definitely did not know what I was getting myself into. Of course, a lot of us who know Coach Pruitt know that the practices are very tough and extremely challenging. I just got back from one. Yeah. um, but with our Middleburg volleyball program, Coach Pruitt has developed a sisterhood that has been carried on for generations. We all support and motivate each other, and we push through those hard times together. Obviously, we don't always like each other, but we get over it. It's fine. um, she cares about all of her players all the time. I consider myself one of her daughters. I could go to her about my school, about family, and my friends. But she really goes above and beyond volleyball-wise. She comes in every morning with my friend Cheyenne. Every morning from 6 to 7, they're doing extra reps, and she offers stuff after school. Like he mentioned, she did have her 600th win this year, and it was amazing to help her celebrate that feat. But you can't measure her leadership by the amount of games she's led with her teams. You have to measure her by the impact she has had on those lives she has touched and changed forever. She deserves the entire world and more. Love you, Coach Pruitt.
The Clay County Female Coach of the Year, Carrie Pruitt. There we go. Okay. In our male coach of the year, he's a two-sport coach at his school, and he's made school history this year. He's the leader of the Swanee Invitational Girls Weightlifting Snatch Competition Team Champions, a 3-time girls district champion, team champion in girls weightlifting, 3-peat regional girls weightlifting champions, and the first ever girls weightlifting team to win a team state championship in Clay County School District history. He was also named the FHSAA Florida Dairy Farmers Coach of the Year. And to introduce the Clay County Male Coach of the Year is one of his senior lifters, Annalie Harbison.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Annalie Harbison. I'm one of Coach Keller's student athletes. So I met Coach Keller in 10th grade. I was in his history class, and honestly, I had no intention of doing weightlifting at all. I was in soccer, and I was doing my own thing, and then once I've heard about weightlifting and meeting some of the girls, I was just like, maybe we should try it. Maybe it'll be good. So having him be my coach on the weightlifting team for the past 2 years, I'm definitely looking forward for my upcoming senior year with him. Not only has he impacted my life, but his family has really impacted my life. They've given me someone to lean on. They show unconditional support, especially when I tore my ACL this past April. So it's been very hard as an athlete, but with their support and going to PT and everything, like they have helped me through so much. So over his 10 years at Clay, he has been a role model and mentor to numerous students. On a personal note, throughout high school, he has helped me to understand the importance of staying consistent towards my goals and how hard work will pay off if you just show up. Being the coach who produced a 2-time state championship team and multiple state placers and champions over the years shows that not only is he a successful coach, but behind those clay doors, he is a coach that is dedicated to helping students grow and flourish. The constant work he does for our weightlifting team and for others, Coach Keller truly fits all the qualifications and deserves the recognition for this award. Thank you, Coach, for all that you do, and I truly am going to miss you when I do leave Clay. So now it is my honor and privilege to welcome the Clay County Male Coach of the Year, Coach Rodney Keller.
Bring the paparazzi up. No. Come on up, Ms. Halter. Right. Mr. Scrumolo, you always bring such happiness to these meetings. I love it. I love that you love it. Thank you. And good luck to all of the coaches this year. It'll be awesome. Another awesome year for everyone. Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, we have some student achievement scores we're going to be talking about.
Okay, one of the amazing things about schools that you really don't know how you did till after you get out in summer. Right, makes no sense, but the state releases scores after we're all gone, right? So there is no, celebrating or kind of acknowledging what's happened last year. So I'm going to do a little rewind as to what happened last year, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to live dangerously. Okay, here's what I mean by living dangerously. When you signal out one school for achievement, and then you signal out another school for achievement, inevitably, you know what happens, right? Somebody's going to say, what about us? You forgot us, right? But I'm feeling dangerous tonight, and I'm going to do that. So we picked a couple of schools that had memorable statistics for student performance last year, and we're going to recognize those schools. Before I do that, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize us as a district. How about this? An A school district, a top 10 in the state of Florida district. So it's kind of weird. I don't know which way to face, right? Face you guys or face, So I'm going to halfway it, okay? 14 school districts in the state of Florida achieved a ranking of A. And I really want to signify how important this is because of the resiliency that this group, our teachers, our students, our administrators, our support staff, everyone, the resiliency of the last 2 years. If you recall, the last time that the state issued grades was right before the pandemic during that year. So then we kind of had a year reprieve in which they didn't report it, and then they come back and they report it this time. So, I'm going to talk more about the district as a whole during the superintendent's update because I'm actually recognizing individual schools, but this is a pretty big deal. It shows good quality education in Clay County. It shows our resiliency even during tough times of providing good quality, world-class educational opportunities for our students. So realizing that I'm living dangerously, I'm going to call the first school up. How about this? Clay Hill Elementary School, 69% in lower quartile learning gains of ELA, went up 17 points. Math went up 23 points. I think Adele Reed is here. Adele Reed, come on up. Give her one time. Does a fantastic job out there on the 218 corridor, no doubt. And you're first, so you get to stand there awkwardly through the whole thing, right? So next, let's recognize Doctors Inlet Elementary. Doctors Inlet had the highest math learning gains in the lower quartile, 76%, which if you don't know the state statistics, that's pretty good, and 26 points 2021. Principal Miss Ayers, you've done a great job. How about Lake Asbury Elementary? Was an A school for the first time since 2015. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to move students in the right direction up to that level. 13 points in ELA learning gains. Math learning gains went up 18 points. Math learning gains of the lower quartile went 24 points. Ms. Outman, fantastic job. Lakeside Elementary, how about these scores for 6th grade? 93% proficiency, 97% learning gains, 97% learning gains in the lower quartile. All right, the math teacher.
This is Mr. Ty Little, and this is our rock star math teacher. It is him that does the hard work.
Patterson Elementary School, #1 ranked elementary school in our district statistically. Math went up 36 points. Math learning gains went up 19 points. Principal John O'Brien, Patterson Elementary School. How about some love for the Oakleaf community? Here's Plantation Oaks. The last time that they were an A was 2015, which, by the way, was the year that Kim Marks was the assistant principal at that school and moved on. So a fantastic job. Come on up.
Sierra Cant is one of our wonderful science teachers with the help of Tina Jensen that brought in those science scores.
How about S. Brian Jennings? Okay, 114-point lift in 1 year. That's fantastic. 38 points in ELA learning gains, 24 in ELA learning gains. Well, first was the lower quartile than the others, and then learning gains rose by 20% in math. Elise, come on up. But Lakeside Junior High, #1 ranked junior high school in our county. Civics achievement, 92%. How about science achievement, 82%, 34 points above the state average. Ronnie Ivy. And how about some special love for Orange Park High School? Okay, I was out there personally the first day that teachers came back because in looking at all the data, I think this is pretty impressive, right? This is our senior high there on Kingsley and Blanding. Orange Park, 57-point increase. That would be the largest increase of all secondary schools in Clay County, was at Orange Park High School. They also went up highest math learning gains in the district of all high schools, okay? Up 20 points from the previous year, 95% graduation rate. Let's see, did I see Ivan here? Oh, hey, bring the whole crew up, okay? I thought I saw him.
And then we have 2 district leaders.
Okay.
Thank you.
I also have 2 district leaders that I'd like to recognize today. First, Dr. Melanie Sanders, okay? Dr. Melanie Sanders organized our first ever ESC Summer Summit. ESC, a bunch of 200 ESC teachers got together during the summertime to perfect their craft. Best practices within ESC and some of our most needed students and most needy students. It was a fantastic event. I stopped by there. Fantastic job. We got one more, so you get to hang out, okay? Also want to recognize this person, Jenny Shepard. Jenny Shepard, come on down. The people within the district know who Jenny Shepard is, but Jenny Shepard's a rock star in professional development. And the reason why you hear all those principals clapping is because she's the one that helps us with the organization of all of our professional development within the district and does a fantastic job at it. Some things that we've done our 2 days of professional learning communities and collaboration of best practices through the Teacher Leadership Academy. We also had the Administrative Leadership Academy over the summertime. You know, as things change, we need to adapt to those things that change, and professional development is the way that that's done. So we appreciate the work of both of these ladies. We give them a big round of applause. We'll get a picture.
Awesome news. Thank you, Mr. Broski. There is no school showcase this evening since our students aren't back yet, but we're going to be looking forward to seeing them hopefully next month. This is the last call for comment cards. I'm going to take a breath while people are moving out and getting ready for tomorrow again. It seems weird. It's the first week of August, and our teachers are back, and our students are coming back next Wednesday. So there's a card that's being filled out, so we'll take a minute and hand it to our officers if you have a comment card, please, and thank you. There were a couple of comment cards that are for discussion items later in the agenda, so those will be held until the discussion item comes up. Also, there were a couple that, I'm just going through, that said general, and I'm assuming just general comments. Mr. Friedman, Ms. Lunsford, not sure where you're sitting. If there's anything specific that it's not regarding a particular item, correct? Okay, got it. So we'll just leave it in general comments at the beginning. Is that okay with you? Awesome, making certain. Thank you. And number 2, got it. All right. We're going to start with Mr. Conkey, Doug Conkey, who's going to be speaking to us about the Blue School Grant Program. It's good to see you, Mr. Conkey. I know.
Well, Chairman Bola, fellow board members, Superintendent Broski, I just want to say thank you. It's an exciting time. School's about to start, and I always like to say thank you for the wonderful teachers that gave my daughter such a wonderful education. They're grown and doing quite well. But as we are about to start school, I'm here to highlight a great program the St. John's River Water Management District has. It is the Blue School Grant Program, and it is where teachers get to continue making an impact for their students. The Blue School Grant Program provides funding to teachers within the district in support of their efforts to engage students in understanding and appreciating Florida's freshwater and estuarine systems. The mission of the Blue School Grant Program is for students to develop an appreciation for Florida's water, an understanding of water as a limited resource, and a water ethic that they can foster throughout their lifetime. I think of it as an opportunity, as recognizing teachers make such a big impact, planting that seed for our next generation of environmental science leaders that will protect our future and their grandchildren's futures as we are growing and stressing all of our resources. Grant amount is up to $2,000 per teacher or school if there are multiple teachers. A total of $20,000 is expected to be awarded this school year. The eligible applicants are educators working with grades 6 through 12. Key dates, August 1st through September 15th is the application window, and our staff is more than happy to walk them through any process or questions they may have so they can really put forward their most competitive grant. In October is when the grantees will be notified. Funds will be awarded in January, and then January through June are the projects, and then there is a end of report to June 1st, but that helps us document the great things that they have done with your students. You know, this impact since 2016 is 75 projects have been funded, 9,400 students have been touched, and over $104,000 have been awarded. So this has great impact, and the district represents 18 counties up and down the St. Johns River. And as you saw in some of the paperwork I gave you, just informational, Clay County has had a very rich, had 5 schools do it. So we'd like to do that and knock our brothers on the other side of the river off that pedestal that they're on, and let's aspire to be that top dog and have so many environmental sciences experts created. So I'm all for that. But that's all I wanted to say. It's a great time to, I know it's an exciting year. You're doing awesome things, as we have seen. That is so very, and because I've been involved in the Blue and Gold program, the level of the kids coming out of your school systems that we interview for the service academies, you just go, I'm glad I'm not competing against these kids. They're doing some great things. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And have a great upcoming year.
Appreciate the information as always. Thank you, Mr. Conkey.
Have a great night.
You'll notice a little bit something different. I know it's a little bit obnoxious. It's huge. It's our timer. The timer on the podium expired. And we can't seem to locate one to replace it, or the parts that we need to replace the parts that need to be replaced in that timer. I can assure you that they're still working on it, because this is probably not the best. So a little bit glaring. But just so you realize that we're doing everything we can to get back that smaller timer that's a little bit more discreet, shall we say. So our next speaker is Brandy Mackey. And a reminder, when you come to the podium, please give us your name and your address.
Start. Brandy Mackey, 1500 Common Water Drive, Fleming Island, Florida. Well, good evening. Long time no see, everybody. I am here, I wanted to see about addressing you all face to face, and hopefully I'll get a quicker response because I've been trying to get some things situated. So the question that I have is the Florida statutes for controlled open enrollment. Can you hear me?
I hear you, but unfortunately, we don't respond to questions.
Okay,
This is just time for comment.
yeah, just comments is,
Sorry.
so I get my time back? All right, so for, the questions that I have is like the open enrollment, controlled open enrollment. When will they have the numbers of availabilities for schools? Because right now, there are some things that are happening where the zoning is closed for schools, and there's no numbers, or we can't tell why, or if there's openings. I was able to be here to be privy to one of the best schools that just, Principal Gunder. That is a school that we're interested in based on some of the programs that they offer there. And it's disappointing because we're not able to get into those schools because the rezoning and everybody saying that things are closed. So those are questions that I think a lot of people will know or would like to know, so the sooner the better we have those answers. I'd appreciate it. The other comment that I have is that I'm representing class of 2024. Y'all will see me celebrating a whole lot then because that's the last year of my son. But 2024, class of 2024 has been challenging. They came in pre-COVID. And so a lot of things that these students are experiencing, and parents, we need some help. We need some clear understanding and representation of what the rules and guidelines are according to these academy programs. It's confusing. I'm upset a little bit about some of the requirements that have been told to us at the last minute, and I'm not the only parent. I got a restaurant, people come in and vent and eat, and so these are things that people are asking. And it's election season, so if people can tell me what the answer would be, I'd like to be able to share those kind of things. So what are the requirements for the academy? If it's a 3-year academy, it's not anywhere that is shown on the information. It says K through 12. So that needs to be clear, and I would like to see something that also says that parents are in more control of their kids' destiny. If I say that this is what I want for my student, this is what I want, because y'all call the parents when they get in trouble, not the kids. So I think that that's something that needs to be addressed Clay County-wide. Thank you for your time. Y'all know my number.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Superintendent, could you have someone speak to her?
Yeah, Miss
maybe over-
Pickett, if you wouldn't mind.
Right in the back. Ms. Pickett.
All right, thank
is
you.
right there. Thank you. Our next speaker is Robert Carabine, Robert Carabina. Carabina, thank you. And if you would, please give us your name and address when you come to the podium. Fifth grade teacher, Mr. Robert, I try to read as much of the handwriting as I can, and sometimes I get
Thank you
confused.
for allowing me to address the school board tonight. And congratulations to the teachers that are still here and define achievement in Clay County. That's really, really noteworthy. I came here tonight to talk about curriculum. And I'm going to preface my remarks a little bit by sharing with you what a school day was like when I went to school in public schools. We began the day with 2 exercises. One, the prayer in school, and the other one, Pledge of Allegiance. And in my public school where I went, my classmates, we were Christian, we were Jewish, and we had people who were non-denominational, okay? But everyone participated in everything, right? There was no complaints, we all participated. Also, in addition, we were allowed to attend religious instructions. We were given time off from school 1 day a week, and we could go to religious instructions to the place of our learning, wherever that place might be. Public schools then promoted family values, respect for our flag, and respect for our nation and our nation's history. We were not taught to hate each other or to hate our country. Civics instructions were taught throughout the whole school life, okay, from elementary right through high school. And in order to graduate from high school, I needed to have Algebra 2. I took that for 1 solid year in high school, Algebra 2. That was required of all students, no matter what programs you were in. That was then. Now we're in a different type of world today. So some people might say that what I'm preaching is, oh, you're an old man. You're coming to us here with some old values, but what old values that we had then are still relevant today? And unfortunately, education has taken a turn somehow down the wrong path, wrong road. And what I see today in the schools is that, there's disrespect for our nation, disrespect for our flag, and even, trying to overturn the math programs, etc. Thankfully, you have a governor in Florida who understands this. The governor has come out. He's banned the teaching of critical race theory. He's also advocated for civics instructions, and I think that shows an effect here of what's happening in the school system here in Clay County. We may not have a course that says CRT, but there are elements of that that are still invading the teaching. The last thing I just wanted to say, and I'm sorry, time has expired, but I looked at the candidates that are running for re-election here.
Thank you, Mr. Carabina. We try not to get the politics into
Okay,
it, but
but-
thank you. Can I ask you also for
Okay,
your-
I won't say any more except
Oh,
You're Hijacking American Education. Great book, you can read more, I'm not gonna read from it, but Hijacking American Education, that'll cover a lot of things I didn't have a chance to say.
Could you, yes, and could you also give us your address, please? I didn't catch that at the
Yeah,
beginning.
It's on a card.
We need it for the record because we are, it's on the card, 3260?
3260.
Okay, just
no
making
problem.
certain, thank you.
Yes, yes, ma'am, thank you.
Mr. Bruce Friedman.
Good evening, all. Middleburg address on file. Bruce Friedman, president of Florida's chapter of No Left Turn in Education. You probably caught that by now. I've gone through a considerable portion of the Destiny system looking for more inappropriate materials that concerned me. I'm not going to read any bad words tonight. The 3 books that I tried to discuss with you in the June 30th meeting were really just a very small tip of the iceberg. I submitted 60-plus challenges the following week at your special meeting. This box, which represents a couple of 100 hours of research and diligence, includes 350 more book challenges. I have over 100 more left to do currently, and I'm just scratching the surface. Without getting into that too much, the things that I flagged, the reason I'm challenging a text is because A, I think it will help define the boundary between inappropriate and appropriate so that the rules become clearer for everyone. I found critical race theory content, social emotional learning, comprehensive sex ed, Common Core, gross acts of sex and violence. And then I found this. I have 2 quick items to read to you. These are from your Destiny system, no bad words. Book called Scars by Cheryl Rainfield depicts a teenager, Kendra, who in an attempt to escape her fears and pressures resulting from childhood sexual abuse, cuts herself in order to cope with the memories and their powerful emotions. The rest of it reads like a self-help book, but I don't see that helping anyone. And my favorite, a book called 33 Snowfish by Adam Rapp. A homeless boy running from the police with a 15-year-old drug-addicted prostitute, her boyfriend, who just killed his own parents, and a baby, gets the chance to make a better life for himself. Clearly a self-help book. There's been a complete lack of oversight that led to garbage like this landing in the libraries. I don't know who thinks this is good for a child. That person needs some talking to. We're looking for oversight, accountability, honor. You're on your next reiteration, revision of the same policies and procedures that let this happen. Do better. Have a great night.
Our next speaker is Leanne Lunsford.
Leanne Lunsford, my address is on file. We're here because the district is violent. I'm also, sorry, speaking as a representative of Moms for Liberty. I did write that on the card. The district has violated longstanding law subjecting children to obscene material that has been illegal for decades. It's not a new law, and it's quite misleading to pretend that the issues with the books in our school libraries is due to new laws. It's not. The district was informed months ago that we have books in our school media centers. We've called, emailed, and even met with district officials. For the most part, the district has turned a blind eye and a deaf ear. The new policy put forth, we find insufficient. The new policy does not offer clear guidance. It simply cites law. It says to the teachers and the media specialists, go read, understand, and comply with the law without any guidance. This puts 100% accountability on media specialists and teachers while removing any accountability from the district. It's unfair to media specialists and has proven ineffective, as evidenced by the inappropriate books that can be found on the shelves of our school libraries. The school board's lack of policy for vetting books is what led to this problem. Now you're passing the policy that is lacking even basic guidance. This policy must be clear. There can't be confusion on this. I have heard some discussion about discipline actions against the media specialists. I don't believe that teachers and media specialists can be held accountable when our district has failed to put in place a policy with clear guidance for our teachers and media specialists to use. Don't blame teachers, media specialists, or parents for this mistake. Instead, create a well-thought-out, comprehensive policy that can be used as a tool by teachers and media specialists. Now on to the new parental rights law. The new burden placed upon teachers this year, implemented by the district to submit every scrap of paper, video, supplemental material to the district for review of curriculum councils that only meets once a month, is a total misinterpretation of the law and creates a hardship on all teachers and staff. Your policy seems designed to do 2 things. 1, not give parents the ability to effectively challenge content, and 2, place the blame on teachers if any content results in lawsuits or action from the state. Hopefully, the union's working with the teachers to ensure the procedure is in alignment with the law, but doesn't cause undue burden on them. From what I've been sent today, there was union pushback. But my question's when? The email states lobbying, yet the bargaining was canceled for the 28th. The email says the district agreed yesterday, but essentially district was going to begin notifying administrators. Why wouldn't the district do a wide memo to be put forth immediately so the teachers weren't forced for the past 48 hours to sit through in-service training, being scared out of their mind that they couldn't teach standard-based education? Why does this give the appearance of a backroom deal between district and union, which, don't get me wrong, we agree with the outcome, but it's the exact opposite of transparency, which the law requires? Why does the email state the union head would make sure administrators know this new procedure? That falls under the district purview. It seems like a lot of political posturing, as the email does mention outside groups, under the guise of pitting parents and teachers against each other, district and teachers against each other, board and parents against each other, all while not following what the law is intended for. Thank you.
Mr. Coughlin, I'm not certain what item you wanted to speak to. Is there? General, okay. You had a number 5 on here, so that's why I was curious. Thank you. David Coughlin. These are all D2 and D4. Yep.
Good evening. David Coughlin, 23 Widener Way, Orange Park. School board meeting is a misnomer for this gathering. 2/3 of the time spent here is in photo ops with high achievers from the school district, listening, and listening to the superintendent speak of his great work, and pretending to listen to the Pravda from the union representative. The remaining third of the time, the school board is convened for business. Actual business occurs. The school board does not attend superintendent's staff meetings, and the school board does not attend whatever the union does when the union meets. Madam President, recommend cease exploiting our high achievers for political points, and restrict the superintendent and union rep to 3 minutes of open mic, as is the norm for all mere mortals who address the board. Business without the drama, it's a good thing. Thank you.
At this time, that ends our public comment section. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda. There were one item withdrawn, and that was C16. There have been no items pulled for discussion.
I'll move approval.
Ms. Karakis moved approval.
A second.
Ms. Bullock seconded the motion. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? There being no discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. And the motion carries. And
Does yours come up? Mine didn't either. Okay.
having a little bit of technical difficulty here. You've got the mess. Okay, thank you. Next presentation, our CCA update from Vicki Kidwell.
Well, happy August. It's been 3 days we've been in session at school. Thank you for this time to give you the teacher's perspective. I've gotten a lot of phone calls. It's been a rough, anxiety-inducing 3 days for our educators. We hear the rhetoric all around And our educators know that their integrity, their motivation, their profession, they've all been made suspect. It doesn't matter that they don't support having obscene books in our school. It doesn't matter that they want what's best for kids and that they give their life and their summers and their time away from their family to do what's right by kids. They know that there's people standing, watching, waiting, and searching for any reason or rumor to vilify and persecute them. Is it any wonder that there are over 14,000 openings in Florida schools this year? Is it any wonder? We understand that these are perilous times for educators, and we will be vigilant in making sure that we follow all the new laws, all the laws. We must not strip educators of professional autonomy and judgment because of the burden of protecting them from outside groups. Our educators need to have access to appropriate resources that engage and instruct according to what their students need. We turn on a dime as educators. I am thrilled to report that teacher voices have been heard in this county. We collaborate great together. There has been great collaboration this week in these 3 days between CCEA, the superintendent, and district leadership, and we have arrived at a common sense and workable process that will allow educators the ability to access the resources that they need in a timely way to serve their students. Educators will be trusted to use their professional judgment and common sense to review all their supplemental resources through the lens of the new laws. Should they be in doubt, they should consult colleagues, their administrator, and if there's any question, put it through curriculum council. The districts in Florida will be working diligently to understand the challenges of these new laws. This will be an evolving process, and educators understand that, and they want to be a part of the process. Never doubt that CCEA and all of our educational professionals want to follow the law. By the way, if you've heard that CCA supports obscene material being placed in our schools or doesn't want it removed, you've been misinformed. As educators, we must be able to teach our kids. I have been and will continue to lobby for measured steps that comply with the law but also avoid overreaction, unnecessary bureaucracy, cumbersome procedures that create a bottleneck on resources teachers need for kids. Clay County District Schools is an exceptional place to work, learn, and live. Our educators are dedicated, inspired professionals who only want to teach and make a difference in their students' lives. And as Melissa Metz said, we should be elevating and celebrating our amazing educators. Thank you for listening and believing in us. We need it. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Kidwell. I don't see Mr. Roberts here this evening. Oh, thank you. So there will not be a CESPA update. Superintendent's update and presentations. Back to you, Mr. Broski.
All right, we're going to continue to celebrate the good work of our students, our teachers, and our schools. And I have a little presentation, only a couple of slides with some information about the opening of school. So once again, I want to emphasize the quality of work that happens within Clay County schools. Can't say that enough, and we'll continue to say that every chance I get. Wanted to also kind of look at the district and take a look at the district as a whole and kind of point out some information that you didn't realize. One, when you compare all of the counties within the state of Florida, Clay County ranks 9th in ELA achievement. You can see that's 7 points above the state average. Moment of pride for Clay County schools. Take a look at 6th grade, 3rd in the state of Florida, 67 counties. There's actually more than 67 counties the way DOE does it, by the way, because they use lab schools and other schools that are smaller kind of thing, but we'll just use the 67 number. Come in 3rd. I put some pressure on the junior high principals to say, hey, you've got a pretty good group coming up. Those are the 6th graders that will now be 7th graders this year. 23 points above the state average in math, 12 points above the state average in ELA. Again, a moment to celebrate as a district. third in the state in science achievement. When you take a look at that, you can see that we are 15 points above the state average. No doubt. If we don't tell people this, how would they know? If you take a look, Clay is 5th in the state in social studies based on last year's data. You can see the difference there is 11 points. Okay, a fantastic job by our social studies teacher. Okay, now I'm going to transition to the new year, right? We didn't even have an opportunity to celebrate that. I'm going to say that every year when it gets to be this time of year, I'm always excited for the start of the school year. Every year, first day before teachers come back, I don't sleep. Every year for 33 years. Every year, the first day that students come back, I don't sleep the night before. There's an excitement. We are so blessed to work in a business, if you want to call it that, in which you reset every year and then you start over again. This year brings a renewed energy, a renewed promise, and yes, renewed challenges, which I'll get to later on. But when I take a look at it, how could you not like the first day of school? How could you not like it? Kids are smiling. I tell you what's a little secret though, is parents have a big smile on their face too when they drop the students off for school on that first day. So remember, our first day is on August 10th, Wednesday. We've had all of our onboarding camps. I was at Middleburg High School this morning to see about 400 ninth graders in their gym, getting oriented, getting ready, getting the information they need to come back to school. Both 7th grade and 9th grade are big years. When a student transitions to junior high, that's a big year. When a student transitions to high school, that's another big year, okay? All of that was happening this week. Teachers returned on August 2nd, and in-service day today, you know, the bottom left, that's the CTE folks, a great group out there. I was down there visiting with them. The training with the Clay County Clerk of Courts. I knew I could say that. Oh my God, that is a tongue twister. And then our ELA teachers you see in the bottom left. I was also out visiting our school nurses, our guidance counselors, our speech pathologists, our ESE teachers, and everyone else. Teachers are excited to come back to work and for students to start. You can see them prepping their rooms. They're all getting ready and geared up for the first day of school and the excitement that it generates. I wanted to transition to a couple areas that I think, I think are areas that require some information. Student transportation. I guess you probably all know a bus driver shortage in the state of Florida. There's a little over 1,900 bus drivers vacancies in the state. In Clay County, we have 10 student transportation vacancies. Well, that simply means we don't have enough bus drivers. So you may say, how could that happen? Every industry that has people driving somewhere is missing people. This is not an education-related issue. It's not a Clay County-related issue. Everyone is experiencing labor shortage when it comes to drivers. It's not surprising that Clay County schools would also have the same. There's a plan in place relative to double backs and providing a stable time for each student and their route. I will say this, probably that first week of school, first 5 to 7 days, the number one area that I get questions with is transportation, right? Hey, where's my bus? My bus is late. Let me go ahead and let me scream it from the mountaintops, okay? On the first day of school, when the majority of the county will go on the road all at the same time, there'll be slow travel conditions everywhere for everybody in Clay County. Clay County has about 218,000 people, according to our last census. We have 40,000, a little better than 40,000 students in our school system. That means either 1 or 2 people are driving those children to school or the buses out there. Okay? This shouldn't be a shock that traffic across the entire county will be slower on the first day of school, and probably, usually for a 5 to 7 day time period, you'll see that traffic everywhere. Once school is out, then of course everybody's commenting about how there's no traffic on the road anymore. Well, we're coming back on Wednesday, so you can expect traffic to occur. There's a transportation hotline. You can see it's 336-0111. I was out there for their training, talking to the bus drivers. Bus drivers are eager to get back too. They're a good group of folks. They're working hard and doing the best they can in difficult situations. And so I think patience, grace, and compassion are the rule of the day when it comes to transportation, and we'll monitor that situation closely. I've seen other districts around us put messages out similar to that already to folks in their district. Food and nutrition services. I will say I went and visited them, I think it was yesterday. Good group of folks that provide meals each and every day. That's kind of stuff that people don't think about, okay? There is a change that I want to make you aware of. The federal government had a waiver for the cost to parents relative to meals. They've reduced the number of what's called CEP schools. These are schools that basically have free meals for their students based on the qualifications of the federal government and the money that's provided. Those are CEP schools that you see listed on the screen. Last year, because it was COVID, the federal government did that for every school, regardless of their eligibility. Now the eligibility has kicked back in, so I think that could require some additional communication with the parents, et cetera, relative to that. I would say on the other side of that, how about the idea that we didn't change meal prices in Clay County? Anybody go to the grocery store and they're paying the same now that they did previously? Right? Shake your heads. No, you're paying more right now. Okay? So for us to be able to produce the same product, the same price is really amazing. I'll give a big shout out, and she'll probably be embarrassed that I mentioned her name. Susie Glover is a rock star at getting that done and is a good example of a model employee that works hard for students each and every day. And she's got a crackerjack team there too. So I'm really proud of food service and what they do. It's not easy. I can remember being back in school, and I never really understood the idea behind square pizza and green beans. Who thought that was a good combination? But there are rules that they follow with the chocolate milk to top it off, right? Of course, it kind of all goes together. So proud of them. Just want to remind parents, students in 7th grade need a Tdap immunization according to the Department of Health. And there's free places to get them at the fairgrounds, 8 to 4, August 1st through 12th. So, please come. Otherwise, it slows up the process when you come to school and you don't have your form in there. And I'm going to just say one last thing. I just want to say that so proud of the work that's been done this year, getting ready for students to come. I know that everyone's excited about it, and I'm going to continue to sing from the mountaintop about the quality education that our students get, and it's due to our employees and the people that care. It's due to our parents and their involvement in their students' life, and it's due to our community. Our community is a good community that bands together behind public education, and we should be proud of that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Broski. At this time, we've got a number of public hearings that we're going to open, and the first one, I have no cards for the first public hearing or for discussion item 1. So I'm going to open up the public hearing to approve as advertised amendment to School Board Human Resource Policy 2.02, the application and recruitment to add 2.02E, unlawful employment practices, and the creation of School Board Policy 4.66, prohibition against discrimination, required instruction. Not seeing anyone come to the podium to discuss this who did not fill out a card. I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move approval. I'll second.
Ms. Gilhousen moved approval. Ms. Kirkus seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Do we have a voting thing? I didn't get that.
It didn't come up.
Can you go ahead and vote for all of us? Thank you. Okay.
Refresh it.
Refresh it, got it.
Refresh.
Thank you, sorry about that. While we're doing that, I'm going to open up the public hearing D2, and I'm going to call on, the public hearing to approve is advertised the creation and implementation of School Board Policy 1.15, Parental Rights and Student Welfare. We do have 4 people who filled out cards for this, so I'll just call them out individually. Our first is Zane Goodman.
Good evening. Do I need to say my address?
Yes, please. Name and address.
1818 Dahlia Court, Middleburg, Florida, 32068.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Zane Goodman, and I would like to give you all a different perspective than you might not have heard so far. I'm a young man. I'm engaged, and we'll be getting married next year. In the following years, I hope to have children and raise them well. However, they will be homeschooled or private schooled because of the prevalent corruption in the school system. We're all aware of the fact that young children's minds are like Play-Doh, molded by the adults in their life that they look up to. Maybe not all, but many teachers and the Clay County School Board have made parents the #1 enemy. A parent with outspoken teachers on social media speaking of parents as an obstacle and the way of teaching their own social ideologies. This is wrong. I'm not alone. Homeschool and private schooling is rising drastically. And to reiterate, if for whatever reason I am unable to put my children through homeschool or private school, I would rather and sooner move to the middle of nowhere and let them be illiterate than ever step foot in a public school system. Lastly, parental rights must be respected, and I expect no less from you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jacob Paul. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board and Mr. Superintendent. My name is Jacob Dahl. I am a seminarian for the Diocese of St. Augustine, and I just wanted to voice my concerns about this parental rights bill. Now, first and foremost, I believe that the goal of a public school system is to teach students what is good, objectively good, and to teach them well. Now, as a concrete opener, my intention is that the section D1 of the document on parental rights and student welfare be eliminated or amended so that it may be in full cooperation with Florida law and within the intent of Governor DeSantis. Now, I did read through the document completely, and it's actually a very excellent document, and I approve of it, except for one section, which is section D, more specifically D1, which I have found kind of undermines the intent of the entire document. And now I want to read this in full. Quote, "Nothing contained in this policy or in procedures drafted to implement this policy shall require any school district personnel to inform a parent of communications between a student and school personnel if it is determined that the student, after being encouraged to discuss issues relating to his or her well-being with his or her parent or to facilitate discussion of the issue with the parent, indicates an unwillingness or outright refusal to enter into discussion with his or her parents concerning those matters about which the student communicated with the school district personnel. And so basically what I've taken this to mean, without all the articulate language, is that if the student refuses to say something, it almost gives a license to the teacher just to keep it in-house, per se, to keep it between teacher and student. And I don't believe that this should be an excuse for secrecy. There should be no veil of secrecy. In fact, one of my main intentions is to have that level of transparency between teacher, parent, and student. And now, I think it's very dangerous to have a lack of parental control in education. Now, I'm actually from the school district, and I've been blessed to have excellent teachers from K through 12. And in fact, I graduated from the school. But nowadays, can we really trust the student to be in sole communication with his teacher when there's growing bouts of secularism, socialism, Marxism being taught in the schools? And I'm not too entirely certain that I would trust my own child if I were to have one. And I want to add that the child, him or herself, is not the base of society. The base of society is the family. That is what we need to focus on. That is what public education needs to dwell on, the fact that our future society, what we're teaching these kids to do is to be loving fathers, loving mothers, and loving children. So we need to foster that communication. And for this, I ask for the repeal of D1 from the document. Thank you. Good night and God bless.
Mr. Dahl, I do have your address on file. Thank you. On the card. Nicholas Rossi?
Good evening. My name is Nick Rossi. My address is on file. I'm a resident voter and taxpayer of Clay County. I'm also a product of Clay County Schools. Today, I'm here to denounce that the proposed parental rights policy is a Trojan horse, specifically on Section D1. You propose an exception to the parental notification that is not in statute. Furthermore, it is against the statute. The section of the proposed policy states that if the student expresses unwillingness to share the information with the parents, then the district is not required to notify parents about the well-being of the student. That is preposterous. Parental notification is the law in Florida. There is no such exception in the statute. Your responsibility of parental notification is not dependent on the student's willingness to tell the parents. Therefore, this section D1 is against parental rights. You must eliminate or amend this section because it opens the door to withholding information from parents. Please do the right thing, respect the parental rights, and fix this proposed policy. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Andrew Perez?
Good evening. My name is Andrew Perez. My address is on file. I've been a resident of Clay County and a student of this school district for the majority of my life. I've read through the emergency change of policy, as I encourage every citizen in this room to go and do, and I do have some concerns. Near the bottom of the document, specifically as stated by the others, page 5, section D1, is an amended portion stating, quote, "Nothing contained in this policy shall require any school district personnel to inform a parent of communications between a student and faculty if determined that after being encouraged to discuss issues with the parent, the student indicates an unwillingness to enter into discussion regarding those matters." In summary, personnel will not be required to inform parents of their child's well-being based solely upon their own judgment or that of the minor. So I suppose my question to the district is, what really changed? This notion that the decision to inform parents on the student's well-being is left to the arbitrary decision-making of the minor or the school personnel not only does nothing to allay the fears of the families in this district of being undermined in their own homes, but flies completely in the face of the law and the will of the governor. Parental notification is the law. You do not decide whether or not to involve the family. You and your subordinates have a legal obligation to be open and transparent on all issues regarding the well-being and education of our children. I see no reason to be hesitant in complying with it. Please, revise this policy with a clear answer on whether or not the district intends to abide by the law, not a contradictory statement that frankly skirts the bounds of what is legal. Thank you.
There being no one else coming to the podium for this topic, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move approval.
Ms. Karakis moved approval.
Second.
Ms. Bullock seconded the motion. Discussion?
Mr. Bickner, do you have any guidance on D1 of concern?
Absolutely. All four speakers read a portion of D1. They didn't read the whole thing of D1. If you get to the end of it, it says there's an and, which means a second part has to exist. If a second part exists, then number one doesn't mean anything. And there is no change in the student services or monitoring related to the student's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being, and the school's ability to provide a safe and supportive learning environment for the student. Or, again, there's something that has to be read that nobody here has read or they're not paying attention to. Information has been disclosed to the school district personnel by the student or other individuals which would cause a reasonably prudent person to believe that disclosure of the communicated information to a parent would result in abuse, abandonment, or neglect, as those terms are defined in 3901 Florida statutes. I would also point out that the language is directly, of all of this, is taken directly from House Bill 1557 and is quoting the statute. And if you go back to B1, it says the parent shall notify if, only if, there's a change in the student services or monitoring related to the student's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being, and the school's ability to provide a safe and supportive learning environment for the student. That is a direct quote from House Bill 1557. If a student comes up to an administrator and makes a statement or says something, and it doesn't change the need to monitor or supervise or take care of a student, there is no obligation to go running to a parent and say, your student said this. It's very specific in the statute. When I drafted this, as I explained to you at all of the hearings that were had, all of the public meetings that were had, this is a direct quote from 1557. There's nothing changed about it.
Thank you. Any further questions? Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes carry it. And we're moving on to D3, which is the human resource action. Unfortunately, we do not have any human resource actions tonight. So moving on to D4. The approval to advertise and notice a public hearing to approve amendment to School Board Manual of Procedures for Media Services and the Handbook of Instructional Materials Procedures as contained in School Board Policies 4.44C.
Madam Chair, if I could speak to this item before.
Absolutely. And then we have one card regarding this, so go right ahead.
Madam Chair, I believe it's appropriate to provide an update to this item since individuals that were present here were not present at our board workshop. If you recall, we described the affirmative steps the district's taking in order to address all of the concerns raised by various speakers and stakeholders that were here at one time during this meeting. The board had a great collaborative discussion about the policy in place and voting on tonight the advertising for that policy. So once again, to review, we outlined the 4 affirmative steps that the district's doing to address the concerns. First, we reestablished the policy related to book challenges. Book challenges have occurred in schools across the nation and in Clay County for decades. So the challenge of a book is really not a new event, but the environment in which the book's being challenged is slightly different, admittedly. As a reminder, anyone can submit a challenge form, which is located on our website, and we've made the process simple and transparent. The form essentially wants to know two things: the book title, and specifically, what is objectionable by the book, which would include a reference to the page number. Simply tell us what you find objectionable. This would allow the committee to honor and value the person who filed the form's objection. If the reason for the objection is not there, that would only leave the committee to guess as to why the individual objected to the book. It is critical that we give stakeholders a voice and allow them to reference their objection. The process described is simple, it's transparent, and provides a voice for all stakeholders. Once a completed challenge form, keywords, a completed challenge form is submitted, the book is removed from the shelf pending the committee's review. Can't be any more transparent than that. The name of the book and why you have an objection, which would include a reference to something. Otherwise, the committee's left guessing as to why you find it objectionable. Second, we have media specialists reviewing their collections. Given some of the books in question were purchased in 2002, it's prudent for them to review their collection and address the issues, which they have done. They've gotten back to work on Tuesday. Today's Thursday, okay? They've already met. They've already started the process of review, and they're doing a fantastic job. We're talking about dedicated people who are working extremely hard and therefore should not be vilified in their approach, okay? The third thing that we did that's affirmative is we temporarily halted the purchase of any new library materials. This will allow to review the process by which they're purchased and await the direction of the state, which they promised, in short order. Last and definitely not least, we've created a system of notification to parents. You've heard me say this many, many times. The parent should decide what is appropriate for their child based on their individual family. You know, given the current situation, the ultimate in transparency and honors the wishes of the parents is for the parent to decide what they want their child to check out of the school library. So we do have a form in which any parent can simply say, I want my child to not check out a book, and we would honor that request. Or another option is, we want our children to check out books, but not these certain books, right? So they kind of narrow the scope. And the third is the parent can receive a daily email message, what book they've checked out. You know, right away they would get an email, and they would know this way they can have those family discussions at home. You know, I can't think of a more transparent system than that. You know, as you can see, you know, I think the district has listened to the concerns of stakeholders, taken affirmative action, and has been transparent in how to approach it. Again, we welcome all parents. I know many people, you know, have gotten involved. If they see something that they think is inappropriate for their child, they should record the form and state their objection so their voice is heard. Now, the district has a group of very dedicated people working on that, okay? But it is going to take some time, okay? We all want the same thing on this issue, right? So it's kind of amazing to me that everybody approaches it from such different ways, right? What we're saying as a district is we've done these 4 affirmative steps. We're giving total control and transparency to the parent, which is what people have argued should happen. That is what's happening, right? So I find the disconnect of communication concerning. None of us would want inappropriate material for children, and everyone wants the same thing. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't let this gentleman come speak because he's intimately involved in this process, the number of books that have been challenged, and where we stand in status with this. As superintendent, as the chief academic officer, he's in charge of the instructional materials division, and so rightfully so, has in-depth knowledge of this particular topic. So, Mr. Daly, if you can kind of give us an update.
Yes, sir. Madam Chair. Mr. Superintendent, you've covered most of the salient points and done a thorough job there. And some of the things that I might bring as an update I've already brought forward several times. So I don't want to tread over all that ground again, yet I recognize there are people that are coming sort of new to this, so I may touch on a few points. To be clear, ever since we began this process, which for us was last November with the first concern brought forward, we have responded every single time immediately and decisively to everything that's come forward. So I hope that to dispel any notion that we have not been responsive. We've returned every call. We've addressed every item as we've learned and grown through this process. We've been transparent and collaborative with parents. And I'm very proud of the job that our district has done, particularly relative to the media specialist. We're working tirelessly on this. We've acknowledged publicly on multiple occasions that these materials do exist. They exist in every school district in the United States, and we are working as hard or harder than anybody else. And I challenge you to point to a school district anywhere in this country, especially in this state, that has been more diligent in trying to approach the issue. Right now, we have a total of, as of this morning, 462 challenge forms that have been brought forward. Out of that number, only 111 I would consider complete challenges, meaning that they have the title and the page number or the passages to which people object or are concerned. And as Mr. Broski pointed out, on the other ones, it's 351, I would say they're incomplete. They don't say, or they say something very nebulous and global on there, which would not allow a committee to review that to even begin to guess at what it is being challenged. And I've tiered the things out really into 3 tiers. First tier, the ones that I think are most important, because all of these things take time, so we needed a strategy relative to how to get them out, were the things relative to the pornographic material, that's Chapter 847 of the Florida statute, and put those on the front burner. And then that we have things in the middle that are more subjective, in areas that with the new law, the state hasn't brought forward language like they have with 847 to guide us. I anticipate at some point that language will be forthcoming. And then we have things that are on there that are more curious challenges. For example, there was one challenge form, an incomplete one, that was brought forward about a U.S. president. And while I know not every president's always popular, those things are normally decided at the ballot box. So I'm curious to wonder, because it didn't say what about the president in that book that they objected to. So what I think is happening is there are lists, and I pointed this out last time, circulating nationally among advocacy groups, and for good reason, and those things are added to lists and maybe challenges come forward. And I would encourage people, if you're going to bring a challenge forward, to at least read the material so that we know what we're challenging and so on. As Mr. Broski pointed out, this is a very time-consuming issue, and this came down unfunded. So we didn't get any additional monies to deploy people to it. So the personnel that are involved, folks like myself, are actually already employed by the district to work on other important matters, and school is starting in a week, and so there are things that must be attended to. But yet, nevertheless, we are working on these things as quickly as we can. It's imperative that people do fill out the required fields. We've tried to make it as simple as we possibly can. We've reviewed it multiple times, and feel like it is a simple, straightforward process, but time is of the essence. If people want these books to be looked at, and I certainly do, then the more complete the challenge form, the easier and quicker we can go ahead and address the issue. If it's incomplete, then it has to be returned to the person filling out the form, and that just slows the entire process down. So we'll continue to try to communicate to our stakeholders how important that part of the process is. I must say before I end that the media specialist did come back on Tuesday, but I had many of those fine folks working with us on their own free time over the summer as the issue has become to the forefront, and they've been made aware of it, and they've worked tirelessly. We had another great meeting today and they are fully on board. And I noticed, so many of those folks have worked with my own children over the years. They're great ladies. They want nothing but to promote literacy and do a great thing for children. And so they're going to be working alongside as we go and try to make this situation better than it is right now. Any questions by the board members for me about where we are?
When you, when you get the list, even though the book may not have been read and it's not clear as to what the issue is that book being pulled until it's discovered that there's not enough information?
If the book has a page number or a passage, something that we can put, the page number is by far the most, that's going to expedite the situation. Then we absolutely can pull it and then review it, right? Because then I can look at it very quickly and just say, okay, this is in this category. Remember, I need to tier them out. So the ones that I feel like we need to address first, we're going to put in one category, and then some of the others in the next category. But at that point, they're out of circulation. But without a completed form, I can't take it off. Bear in mind, we do feel that book censorship is an extraordinarily serious issue. And so we take it very seriously. And I don't, and I had some challenges that I describe as curious challenges, and I want to make sure that, we don't get into frivolous challenges and things like that. Having said all that, we're talking about 500 challenges or thereabouts out of 100,000 different books. So we're talking about half of 1%. So we still have 99.5% of our books available. So we have a robust array of materials available for students to check out when school begins. And so we have no concerns around that issue.
And will you also explain, you may have mentioned it, but we've got, multiple forms about the app that you came up with as far as notifying?
I don't know that we have an app, but
What
So,
Mr.
so
Superintendent?
basically, any parent that wants either one of those three categories, there's a form on our website that they would simply put the name of their student and which one they could check, which option they would like. Would they like,
when they check out the book, though, that the parent is notified?
right, there'd be an email that'd
Okay.
be sent to the parent,
Okay,
if that's the option that the parent chooses.
all right, just as long as the parent understands that option's there. And
Yes, yes, ma'am. We think that's the ultimate in transparency. Maybe they, when they see what their child checked out, maybe they want to engage in family conversation about that.
That would prevent a student from checking out a book without the parent's knowledge if the parent wanted to be informed, so they're not surreptitiously sort of carrying it around in their backpack and reading it under the covers at night and so forth. Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Daly.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Mr. Daly, have there been some that you guys have determined that need to be removed?
Oh, yes, ma'am. We've been doing that for quite some time, and that's part of the deselection process that I explained last time.
Okay.
And so that gives the media specialist an opportunity to review it and say, okay, this is inappropriate for my collection, and take it out. And in fact, there have been multiple examples of challenges that have been brought forward in the last couple of weeks
Right.
that we don't even have to convene the committee because
Gotcha.
the media specialists, and they're working on those lists right now, and I anticipate many of those books coming out through the deselection process.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, if I might. Go for it. So there was a news interview that I did that I would just like to give some context to. I know as board members, superintendent, you probably have been interviewed by the news before, and you don't have a lot of control over how much of your interview is shared. So I would just like to give some context to it. That interview was completed after the June 30th board meeting, but prior to either of the meetings that we've had this month. And I am greatly encouraged at the steps that we've taken as a district to address this issue. We went line by line through the policy as a board. I think we've made great strides towards correcting the process. I think there's still work to be done. I don't think anybody would deny that. As we've said, we're waiting on guidance from the legislature to help us make these critical decisions and to give guidance that can be depended upon. And I think that going forward, my emphasis in the comments that I made on the news were about moving forward from this moment, that there needs to be accountability for the material that we as a district offer to children. And by no means am I trying to assign blame to any one group of individuals or professionals in this district. That I think it's important that we work together as a team, that we all agree obscenity does not belong in front of children, and we're working together to correct that.
Thank you, Ms. Gilhausen. Thank you, Mr. Daly, Superintendent Broski. I've been trying to give Ms. Burkhardt the opportunity to speak. Jennifer, you're my one card here. So if you would like to come up and address this issue on book challenges. Thank you for your patience. And I hope that the discussion helped.
All right, Jennifer Burkhardt, 3063 Paddle Creek Drive, Green Cove Springs, Florida, 32043. So it's been a few years since I've spoken at a school board meeting. For those of you who have been around, you've seen me a few times. Some of you might even remember my daughter, Kylie. She's 9 now. She stood up here at a school board meeting when I was presenting one time. She's an avid reader. This summer, we read the Hunger Games trilogy. She is 9. We read it together, all 4 books, including the prequel. All right, by the age of 6, so during the time she was 5, we read all 7 Harry Potter books together. All right, both of these series have been challenged and banned. Hunger Games is not Hunger Games. Harry Potter was actually the most challenged book of all time in the United States. So 20 years ago, when Harry Potter was being published, my daughter may not have had access to these books in her school library, depending on the school she attended, since Harry Potter is challenged very extensively. So I am up here standing here appalled that I'm having to come up here and speak to oppose and standing in opposition of the disgrace that is occurring in our school media centers, with books being removed from the shelves, being presented without following protocols that have been set in place for a reason. We shouldn't all of a sudden stop looking at those protocols. All right, as we said, this has been going on for decades. This is not new. Many books have been removed citing pornographic material. Pornography, by definition, is material that is intended to stimulate erotic feelings. There is no erotica in our schools' media centers. A sex act does not equate to pornography, by definition. What actually is happening is parents or guardians may find the content of some books inappropriate. This is a matter of opinion. If a parent or guardian does not find a book suitable for their student, then they should be responsible for having a discussion with their student about this, and they should be monitoring their students' reading selections, which the district has provided by what Mr. Broski just told us. It is absurd to believe that I, as a parent, have the right to remove book selections from a school's media center because I do not agree with the content. A media center is where students go to choose a book to read. The emphasis here is placed on choice. No one is forcing students to read or check out books that they or their parents are uncomfortable with. A public school's media center is the only opportunity many of our students have to access free books. They may not have transportation to a public library. Not all students can afford to buy new books from Books A Million. Our students rely on our school's media centers for access to literature. It is despicable that a few people want to dictate what can be read by all our students. As a high school, we provide books to 14 through 18, 19-year-olds. Students vary widely with interest and maturity levels. Not every book is going to interest or be appropriate for every student. I guarantee you many 5-year-olds cannot handle Harry Potter. That doesn't mean my daughter should not have access to that book. All right? We should not be limiting our students based on the biases of a few. As a high school English teacher, frankly, I'm very disturbed and concerned with the direction the district is moving with dictating what is available for students in media centers. There's much uncertainty around how is this going to affect my personal school library, my personal classroom library. Also, I pride myself, I don't just teach your student if you oppose. I teach 120 other students who have equally deserving of respect, representation, and validation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burkhardt. I'll entertain a motion to approve to advertise and notice a public hearing to approve the amendment to the School Board Manual of Procedures.
I'll move approval.
Ms. Gilhausen moved approval.
I'll second.
Ms. Carrick has seconded it. Any further discussion? Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. The ayes carry it. Next, I'm going to open the public hearing to approve as advertised modifications to the 2021-2022 Student Progression Plan. Not seeing anyone running to the podium to speak on this, and I don't have any cards on this at this time. I will close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to approve as advertised the modifications to the 2021-2022 student progression plan.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Second.
Ms. Carrica, that's okay. Ms. Carrickas moved approval and Ms. Gilhousen seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Next on the agenda, D6, approval to approve the contract for a charter school replication by St. John's Classical Academy Incorporated, which replication is to be the Lake Asbury campus.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Gilhousen.
I will be recusing myself from this vote. I have a family member who provides contracted services to the school.
Ms. Gilhousen is going to recuse herself from this vote. Do I hear a motion for approval?
I'll move approval.
Ms. Carrickas moved approval.
I'll second.
Ms. Clark seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4 votes and 1 recusal. And you'll turn in the paperwork or, got it, thank you. And D7, I'm going to open the public hearing to approve as advertised the 2022-2023 Student and Family Handbook and Code of Student Conduct. Is there any discussion from the audience? Please move to the podium. Not seeing anyone moving to the podium, I'm going to close the public hearing and I'll, pardon me, entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move approval.
Ms. Carrickas moved approval. Ms. Bullock seconded the motion. All in favor signify, any discussion, sorry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We are at the point in our meeting where we're going to open up to the school board attorney remarks. No comments, thank you. Ms. Gilhousen, would you like to begin?
I would just like to issue a warm welcome back to our faculty and staff as they return for the school year. Nothing is more exciting than the smell of sharpening pencils. I know everybody's looking forward to a productive school year and hope everyone had a restful summer and is ready to tackle all the opportunities that we have for growth this year.
Thank you. Ms. Bullock.
I just wanted to say, again, thank you to the Clay County Foundation, Education Foundation for the outreach program and doing the tools for schools in the Keystone area. I understand they had over 100 of their teachers that went through and picked up supplies, and they were so grateful that they didn't have to make a couple-hour trip to do that on their planning time. So they were very excited, and Mr. Broski was there, and we, even though he lacked some cutting skills with the ribbon, everything else went pretty well.
All right, Bullock.
Don't blame it on the dull scissors.
Yeah, he that's what he said. But anyway, and tomorrow, of course, Wilkins Junior High School, we're going to be their community partnership school. We're going to be honoring them again tomorrow at their school, and so we're excited. And welcome back, teachers. The schools I was at was a buzz with activity, from workshops to excitement to room decorating. It was very inspirational. Thank you.
Ms. Carrickas.
Oh, it's, I just want to say thank you to the superintendent for the exciting beginning of this meeting. It was really nice to recognize Coach Pruitt and Coach Keller and all of the schools that you spotlighted tonight, and Ms. Sanders and Ms. Shepard. I think it's wonderful to see all the great accomplishments that are happening in our district, and I enjoy it. And I think any chance you get to spotlight it, we should. So thank you for doing that. And I will just reiterate what's been said so far and welcome everybody back to a new school year. We have an A district, and it's because of our employees, our teachers, our support staff. You know, we are a family here in Clay County, and I'm just looking forward to the great things to come. And just thank you for all the hard work that all of you do. And welcome back to those children. Thank you.
Ms. Clark?
Well, we had dueling backpack giveaways this last Saturday, a couple of places, same time. And I believe it's going to continue, maybe not to the same level, but there's a place on College Drive where they're going to be giving away backpacks and free haircuts. So the ladies are going to work from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. and cut as many heads of hair that they can. So any child that can't afford a haircut, please come down. And there should be some info on a couple of different areas, but we'll reach out to us and we'll get it for you. Obviously, the books I'm not going to talk about. I think we've talked about it enough. We have a lot of work still to do, but I think we've done a lot of work, and I still commend Roger Daly for the effort that he's put out from our very first meeting back in November. He worked with us and has made long strides in trying to make it right, and we obviously are going to follow the Florida statute. We know that there's probably still things to be amended, so that's okay. We'll work on that. But to the teachers, whether it's your first year or 40th year, thank you for allowing that child to go as far as they can with your training and your care and your love. Some children we know don't have the family life that they should, and school is their number one gift, basically. It is their life. And to all the children out there, please don't stress. Enjoy. You're going to conquer it. It's going to be a great year, whether you're a 7th grader or 9th grader especially. So just have a good time and put a little effort out, and you'll get a nice reward back. Thank you.
Thank you. I truly thought that we were done with graduations, like, a few months ago, but attended 2 of them recently, and AMI Kids had another graduation ceremony, as did Pace Center for Girls. And it was truly, the only word I can come up with is emotional. I don't know which graduation I have more tears at, because the steps that these young men and young women take to improve their own lives and to strive to be the best people that they can be is absolutely remarkable, and it's awesome. So welcome back to all of the young men who are going to be going back to their schools from AMI Kids. And I heard about so many of the Pace Center girls who are graduating and going on to college and already planning great things for their lives, so it was awesome. And on a note about Pace, I don't know if you've seen here, again on College Drive, Pace Center has been trying to open for almost 2 years now, and it is our understanding that come September, we should be seeing hopefully a ribbon cutting at Pace Center for Girls. August 8th is the next foundation teacher giveaway. And from my understanding, there are already close to 300 people that are registered. It is still at Garber Automotive. Garber Automotive is awesome in opening up it's the second building going south on the right. And just look for parking, and people will direct you directly to that room where they are giving away all of the school supplies. Wednesday, we are opening up our schools to our children. This is a plea to all of those of you who drive to remember that school zones are school zones for a reason. Please drive carefully, please drive safely, slowly through those school zones, because there are going to be a lot of children that may be walking to school or riding their bikes or riding their skateboards or doing whatever, and truly not always paying attention as they should, but my goodness, let's watch out for them and let's give them every benefit that we possibly can. I'm not going to get teary-eyed because it is the first day of school, so Terry, Dennis, don't pick on me. But it is, that first day of school is always remarkable. And I really, really wish all of the teachers the very best for these first few days, because you know what you do is so incredibly important, not just to the children and the families and the schools, but to this entire community. And what you have done for us already has been very much appreciated. So thank you to everything that you do. And my last comment has to be Matt's. I am so darn proud of you. Teacher of the Year for the state of Florida. You rock. Meeting's adjourned.
Hold on, Madam Chair.
Oh,
The board workshop.
thank you. I'm going to reopen that meeting real quickly. We had talked, I had mentioned this at the workshop, and I totally forgot to ask about it. Thank you very, very much. I had asked, since our next board workshop happens to be on Election Day, and I'm going to speak from personal experience. On Election Day, on the first day of school, I get up early in the morning and I go and wave thank you to all of our bus drivers at 5 a.m., Middleburg Barn, and it's a hoot. And they are happy and they're excited just as much as the teachers and the kids are. So we'll see everybody at the barn next Wednesday morning at 5 a.m. But more importantly, that next workshop is an election day. And you know, all 5 of us are elected individuals. And it is a tough day. It's a very emotional day, and there's a lot that has to be done on that day. So I have asked that we consider either moving that meeting, making it a different time, so that we have 3 of the 5 of us who are running for election, and I'm opening it up for comment.
Well, I'd like to ask if we could just move it to Monday, the day before, and could we maybe move it to like 11 o'clock Monday?
Yes.
Does that work with anybody else's schedule? Are you guys all okay with that?
Is that a problem for you, Ms. Gilhousen? Because I know you're
Well,
teaching.
you're back to
I'm
school.
teaching, yeah, so I wouldn't be able to make it, but that's okay.
Do you mind?
I don't mind, that's fine.
Will you be able to maybe Zoom in or just call in?
I'll have to look at my class schedule, I'm not sure.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, I understand, and obviously if the majority needs to be there, so.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Clark, are you okay?
Ms.
We'd
Clark,
rather
are
be
you-
somewhere else, honestly.
Ms. Clark, are you good with 11 o'clock on that Monday?
Yeah, that'll work for
I'm
me.
good with 11 o'clock that Monday, Ms. Bullock.
That'll work for me too.
Okay, so 11 o'clock the Monday before, so that would be, and we will be advertising it as such.
So my request, since
Yes.
I won't be there, is that we stick to it just being an agenda review.
There's one topic that I talked to Ms. Ellis about that. And there is one topic that we do need to, you're going to explain, but we don't vote on it there, correct? We don't vote it.
Correct. It was just going to be the options for possible spring park boundaries.
And so
I need to be there for that. Could we push that to it? Is that immediately
Sure,
necessary? Okay. Just, I mean, that's my district. I really feel
Absolutely.
like, and boundaries are a sensitive subject, so I don't want to
Yeah,
miss
I
that
totally
conversation.
understand.
Yeah.
Very much
So if we could stick
understand.
to the agenda review, that I would appreciate that.
Okay, sounds like a plan. So we've made that decision, correct? Monday before the election
22nd.
day, the
At 11 o'clock.
22nd, thank you, at 11 o'clock. Any further discussion, questions, comments, concerns by anyone? Now we're adjourned.